ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of First 12 Ounces. What a hell of a conference weekend. Some tight, a lot of close games, a lot of them. Some were kind of blowouts, and some were down to the wire. Some went into overtime, and I mean, it just kind of is what it is at this point. We're gonna have to cut that. I got a phone call in the middle of it. I'll have to edit that out. Got a fucking phone call in the middle, but we'll be straight. But yeah, like I was saying, conference games were very interesting this weekend. We saw some guys stand out more than anything else. We saw games get away from people. Boise State put a stomping on UNLV. I didn't think any of us saw that coming. Army put a stomping on Tulane. Like, just craziness. Then you had a shootout with Oregon and Penn State. Texas and Georgia going to overtime. Clemson winning in the last-second field goal. ASU dominating Iowa State. I mean, it was nuts all weekend. What are some of the games that stood out for y'all?
The Arizona State game was something. I didn't think. I mean, they kind of solidified that they can play. I mean, Scadobo's a freak.
Yeah, he really is.
I watched the game though. The two teams, it's the same feeling you always got watching the Big 12 game. Like when they run into a big dog in the playoffs, it's just going to be over. But Scatterbo is Gerhardt 2.0.
Dude, he's the second best running back in the country behind Genty. His point of contact balance is like Alvin Kamara-esque.
Yeah,
I mean, it's unbelievable the contact balance he has.
Yeah, he was bouncing off.
Gang tackle him to the ground. Like, you got to drive him into the ground, make sure he's there, lay on him for 3 seconds. Like, he does not fall. He doesn't lose balance. Like you said, he spins off tackles, lands on his feet. That team in general is a really fun team. It's in a really fun area in America. They got some money there at Arizona State. That's a team that can really become the face of that conference if they're able to hold on to their coach, do all that stuff, and turn it into a real football program. Arizona State's a sleepy team to take over that conference for the long term.
Here's a fun factor that I didn't know about the kid. So the kid takes all these punishing hits and bounces off of everybody. He hasn't fumbled the ball once.
I mean, he's a great running back.
In all 4 years, 0 fumbles.
He's a tank.
That is impressive. Impressive. I mean, geez. I was trying to pull up his yards after contact just because I know they're going to be crazy, but I can't find them.
That receiver, Gilroy,
80 yards rushing and 66 after contact at one point, like the first half.
It was evident early on they couldn't fuck with Scatterbo.
Yeah. He's a workhorse. If Texas gets past Clemson and gets to him, he'll be somebody that tests our defense, but we'll see. What did you think about the Oregon-Penn State game?
I think Oregon's the best team in the country. I really do. I think they got pound for pound the best coach in the country. I just think they're really good all over the place. And, the big games they played this year, they've won. And I thought it was impressive what they did. And the game went really, I mean, they didn't. Who cares about that game, right? Like, that was kind of it was like both teams are in, whatever. And they looked incredible, I thought.
Yeah.
Up 300 rushing yards, though.
But that's Penn State's game.
They're the best team. There's no arguing who's the best team right now, but I think after the weekend it was good games. It was a lot of the stuff, but that game in particular and others, it just shows between these top level teams, it'll come down to momentum swings. Like they could all beat each other. Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas. Even throw Penn State in there. Throw about 6 teams in the playoffs in there. That like reality will be getting the right bounces, being the most disciplined team, things of that nature. Because everybody's got a beatable nature about them. Like they got the mature, experienced quarterback, the lightning fast receivers. They're very hard to stop. Dan Lanning is a great coach, especially situationally, how he manipulates a game. He does it kind of like on an NFL level. But, they gave up 297 rushing yards to Penn State, 37 points to a team that doesn't really light everybody on fire. So they could give up some points. It'll be interesting. What I will say is they got fucked over for going undefeated and being the number one team in the country. They got the hardest path to the playoffs, pretty much. You're going to play Ohio State or Tennessee right off the bat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's I'm sure you're going to bring it up, but that it's just insane that they came up with this format of the bracket and everybody was like, yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. That is a crucial one. Let's touch on the Georgia Texas overtime thriller yet again. What a crazy game! It comes out right before on my way home. I actually texted y'all too. It comes out. Carson Beck's done. He's out indefinitely. So huge injury for them. So they got an even harder path once it comes game time. But what a hell of a game! 22-19 in overtime. Beck goes down in the end of the second quarter on a fumble when he was trying to throw the ball. Just horrible, horrible incident that happens. You hate to see it happen to anybody. Hopefully that kid gets better and he'll be ready for the draft. But just a horrible injury to end his career pretty much at Georgia. But other than that, I mean, Texas kind of dominated the first half on the ground and stat wise, but point wise, they struggled to get anything moving. I was confused the first half. We know through our group text that Shoney was ready to fire everybody
Oh,
uh, on the staff and players involved as well. But what did you think about it, Buddha?
yeah, I just knew we would lose the game after the first half. You can't outgain a team 254 yards to 54, be up 3 points, leave that amount of points on the board, miss the field goals, drop a touchdown pass, penalties killing drives. You missed the field goal because of a false start that you made it, then you got backed up and you missed it. It's like football gods, sports gods, ball don't lie. Whatever you look at it, like when you're not they're offering up the opportunity to take over and finish a game. The game should have been finished at halftime. Kept getting in the red zone. So besides the missed field goals, the flags that we complain about, all of that stuff, red zone offense, if you look at the stats after the game, we basically got 0 yards in the red zone. We were always behind the chains. Our running game was absolutely nothing in the second half. Obviously, that's the number one reason we struggled in the red zone. You have to be able to run the ball. And the second reason, Sark even said it after the fact, like, I don't understand not using the arch package in the red zone, making them account for all 11 guys at that point. That opens up the run game alone, just being able to get some yards, get forward. It's not even necessarily about being able to get 6 a carry. Like, you just need to get 3, make them respect the running game, get in front of the chains. We couldn't do it in the red zone, and it killed us. We got a major kicker issue, obviously. And Georgia fumbled like 4 times, recovered all of them. Or we didn't recover any of them. Jade's interception, like everything that was so close that you usually would see points come out of, it didn't. And sometimes it's just not your day. And Georgia has our number right now for whatever reason it is. But I think that as far as major losses and how quickly I was able to get over something, this was one of the fastest because I love the ranking that we got, obviously in the playoffs. And secondly, like you just know you could have won a game and you didn't deserve to win the game. Like I'm not going to be pissed off about that. You had your chances, you didn't, you blew it. That goes on the coaches, that's on the players, that's on everybody. And so it is what it is. We're still in a spot where we got a home game against a team that we should definitely beat, and then we'll have another game against a team that we should definitely beat, and a chance to redeem ourselves against an Ohio State or an Oregon or a Tennessee and go to the national championship. honestly, Oregon, you might rather be Texas than Georgia or Oregon right now. Georgia's quarterback's out, and I think Gunnar Stockton's going to struggle a lot when teams are prepared for him. And then Oregon, just like I said earlier, got a really tough slate for being the best team in the country and handling business better than anybody else. But yeah, I think it is what it is. The story tells itself. Georgia beat us. We deserve to lose, but we still got a chance to go win the championship. So I'm not going to cry about it forever. It is what it is.
And Buddha, before you take, I'm gonna go ahead and give you your roses, your flowers. You said it. You said Texas loses this game if Texas keeps doing what they do and making mental errors and mental mistakes. You said it on last week's episode. You said it, so I want to give you your flowers. You predicted how Texas would lose the game, and honestly, that's kind of what happened.
I didn't even think they would make them, but I left the game more concerned with Texas than I did impressed with Georgia. And when I'm more concerned with Texas, specifically Quinn, because like I know the pick he throws early in the game is questionable PI. My problem is that's a bad ball he throws. That ball's got to be to the sideline. Like when you throw it on the inside, right? I mean, you only bad things can happen. It'd be a miracle. The only good thing that happened right there is the receiver knocks it down, and Bond loses the ball, whatever. And then people forget Quinn almost threw another pick that the safety just literally dropped in his hands.
Yeah, that was the worst one of all of them.
My concern with Texas is I think when they play, I don't think anybody's better than them in terms of guy on guy. I think they're as good as anybody and probably better than everybody. My concern, though, is the mistakes continue to pop up in almost every game that means something, including if we go back to the A&M game. A&M just wasn't good to take advantage of it. But, like, you still had a fumble. You still had a pick. You still had a blocked punt. And then you look at the Georgia game and, like, you miss a kick because you have a brain-dead move and Burt pulls it left. Like you just get, like, I don't know. Like, my concern with Texas is, like, how can you overcome that problem? Because talent-wise, you should beat everybody, and you should beat everybody by 10 plus. But, like, you're now going to start to get to where you're playing legitimate teams every week. My concern is, like, if you don't figure out how to clean that up, you're going to look at results like this more often, potentially. Now, I do think Georgia's got their number, right? Like, I think there's also a mental thing where, like, that's there now. But I think that's null and void at this point. But, like, if you get to a team like it, there's a couple of teams that if you shoot yourself in the foot, they're going to beat you. And that's the only thing holding Texas back. Texas would be considered an all-time great team if they just didn't have self-inflicted problems.
Yeah, and you said it last. Those are your exact words last week. You're like your exact words were, I think Texas is the best team in the nation when they're not in their own way.
And they're letting the spin in their way every week. So it's not. I've said this about a lot of other teams, a lot of other quarterbacks, a lot of things where it's like, hey, when you're at this point, why do you think the light just flips on for them? Offensively, we've become immune to the end zone. Like, yardage wise, even passing wise, we probably had the best day through the air anybody's had on Georgia in maybe 2 years. You have a receiver with 162 receiving yards on 8 receptions, another one with 114. Quinn had 358. Then the other side takes a shit. You got 31 rushing yards. You can't run in the red zone. You can't do anything. You get pushed around in that area. The turnovers happen every time. In Quinn, that's why I've been so much about using both of these guys because they have different strengths. His intermediate passing is elite, and that's where it's mind-boggling. Where it's like this is the area that college quarterbacks and young guys typically struggle with, and you're aces at that, but you can't hit the touchdown throws. You can't hit where you come out, your lights out, putting the ball right on the money, and then on a random third down, you float one that's just like taking forever to get there, and then it's on the inside shoulder, and it's like, what the fuck was that?
He struggles
with fades. He can't. He puts too much air on it, and they drift. I'm not a QB coach. I'm not going to call out the specific mechanics, but his balls float and fucking. It's almost like a bad foul ball or a slice. Like it just keeps fucking floating. It's like you think it's coming down, No, it just keeps floating and drifting away. So you're gonna have to utilize like whatever you got to do to fucking fix this immunity to the end zone. Because the Aggie game too, like they blocked the punt, they did all this shit. If your defense wasn't so good, you not getting in the end zone would have made you look like the biggest chokers of all time.
Yeah.
It's you know
I mean, I don't know. There might be stats that go against us. It also felt like Sark just went real vanilla. Like the whole game, I was sitting next to two of my buddies who are Texas fans, and I'm looking at them at the bar going, I feel like we're not getting a lot of motion. There's not a lot of jet. Like, I feel like Sark's offense usually looks confusing to watch on TV, and it feels real vanilla today, which I had told them before the game started. I said my biggest concern is if Sark goes conservative to try to avoid the self-inflicted problems, and I thought he did that in a way. So then when Quinn had to make throws in the first half, they had to be big time throws, and they were high leverage moments. And I also think I'm not a QB coach either. I don't think he throws the ball to the perimeter well. Like it feels like when he shows issues, it's the perimeter balls. Like it's like he tries to feather them in like he does the intermediate ball, and you got to put something on those balls.
Yeah, I think it's like the throws when it's like it requires you to have your feet in the right spot, your mechanics in the right spot, and put something on a ball. Those are the throws he misses. And then what to touch on, I think you nailed it with Sark, but I think it was like the whole team showed that a little bit. They weren't scared of Georgia, but it's almost like all of the talking heads plus the coaches and everybody telling them leading up to this week and all the weeks before this week, like if you just don't get in your way, you're the better team and you win this game. They were all playing not to lose. And they dropped more balls than they've dropped all year long.
Yeah.
Just mistakes I'm used to seeing and crazy stuff. And like the running backs were tiptoeing around a little bit. It was just like they were playing not to go win a game and say, let's beat Georgia's ass, which I think the first game they intended on doing. They came out like that, and whatever happened, happened. But you still got to bring that to the game, even though the mistakes happened in the last game. Say, we're going to play still fast. We're still going to play hard. We're still going to play to take over this shit, but we're not going to make the mistakes. If it happens, it happens. If Georgia's just better, they're just better, but you can't play not to lose.
Yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
lose.
It was a game high drops. It was they had 7 drops in this game, most they've had all year.
We had 11 all year long, I think, was the number.
11 all year and 7 in the conference championship game. You can't have that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Moving on to
I know Jade Barron is at the Thorpe. He's going to be a Thorpe finalist. He might win it. I don't know. I think Makuba might be the best DB on this team, though.
I think
I thought he played incredible. I think one thing as an LSU fan watching him, I'm so jealous of the safety play that Texas brings. The safety play was incredible, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like what LSU was for a long time.
Like the safety,
Mookie was everywhere as well. I think if Gilbo turns instead of celebrating, he gets that blocking and Johnny takes out for a touchdown.
But if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
Exactly.
I'm the biggest if guy, though. I'm a right hand up. I'm a huge if guy. I love to play the if game. But if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
Absolutely. Let's get to the Clemson SMU game.
One quick thing I want to say about Sark and Kirby both kind of like taking shots at the SEC and then officiating. Sark at halftime, hope they call a holding call on one of them, completely stunned the girl that was interviewing him. And then Kirby in the celebration took a shot at Greg Sankey. Like when Greg Sankey was right there, he's like, Sankey and his staff sent us on the road all year long in these tough games. Well, Sankey just sat there.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Damn.
I love that. I love that part. I love going after the man.
I didn't see that part. I missed that. Let's get to the Clemson SMU game. It looked like Bama was going to be in at first because Clemson was essentially doing what they wanted to in that game. And then SMU said, hold up. We can score when we need to. Put up 17 in the fourth quarter to make it to tie it up. And then how many seconds was left whenever he had that kickoff return to set up the field goal? Like 50-something seconds?
Wasn't a
Like,
lot.
Dabo does it again. Like, Mister, I don't take anybody from the portal. I don't like paying players. Here we go. We're gonna go on and win the ACC and get in this playoff real quick. Like,
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah. I mean, they deserve to be. They won the ACC, but boy, did they stumble their way into doing so.
Yeah, I mean, neither one of those teams, in my opinion, can win a title. I do think they both should be in the playoff, and they both are. I don't think either one of them's a legit contender to win a title. I mean, we saw what Clemson looked like against a team that can win a title in Georgia. They got boat raced.
Yeah.
I mean, they got pummeled by Georgia to start the year off. Now, they earned their way in. They got to the ACC championship game. They handled business. They beat a team that we all said had a chance to make noise. I kind of changed my tune on SMU after watching that. I don't think either one of those teams can make noise. But good for Dabo. He just figures out how to make himself relevant every year.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as we get into this bracket, let's start off with how y'all feel about the top four seedings. Uh, Oregon being one, Georgia being two, Boise being three, and Arizona State at four.
I like it. I like it. You know, Arizona State. I saw some people that thought they should be at 3. I don't. I think 4 is right for them. They had to really climb their way back this season too, and it came down to the wire of the Big 12 of who got into that Big 12 championship. Boise State beat the piss out of a team that played
Was in
them
the top.
good the year. I picked UNLV. They almost beat Oregon. Had Oregon on the ropes. Ashton Genty is having one of the greatest seasons of our life of anybody ever. I think they deserve to be a 3 seed, and I think that they're going to be a tough out.
I agree.
All right. Yeah. Now let's go with the first playoff game. I forgot that it was a Friday game. Notre Dame, Indiana. The battles of the Indiana. How does this one play out? Indiana's been kind of, one of those teams that look big on paper, but then whenever they played a big competitor, they got pushed around. Whereas Notre Dame handled everybody but the smaller school on their schedule.
Yeah, but I think that Indiana, this could be a close, low scoring game because Notre Dame kind of has the tendency offensively. I think if you match up with the team that's good defensively or whatever, they could go put up 13 spot or something like that. Like it's probably going to be cold. I'm interested. Is it a complete Notre Dame meltdown if Indiana beats you in the playoffs?
I mean, I think it would have to be, right? But I mean, I also agree. I think this thing is going to be like just a classic, disgusting looking Big Ten game. Like, that's what this is going to look like. It's going to look like Michigan, Ohio State. It's going to be like who can figure out how to just get in the end zone once.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a lot of field goals. There might be a defensive touchdown. It's going to come down, in my opinion, to like what offense can figure out how to punch one in late.
Elements. You're going to be, it's who can deal with the elements the best.
Slop fest. Like, you're just going to watch it. It's going to look like 1962.
I hear you. And then the next day, we got Penn State hosting SMU. This one's interesting because them Dallas boys ain't going to be used to that snow they're going to be in. Happy, it's going to be freezing cold.
Yeah. I would like to see a shootout in the snow. Like, remember when LaShawn McCoy and I think it was the Bills? I don't remember if it was when he was on the Bills or the Eagles, but there was a slush game and McCoy was like still able to cut like LaShawn McCoy on the snow, and he had 270 rushing yards. Like nobody could tackle him. I want to see that happen to somebody, and it would be hilarious if SMU just beat Penn State in a shootout in Happy Valley.
Look, I think
Penn State probably beats them.
I think Penn State is significantly better than SMU.
Yeah.
But I think the X factor here is can Frank coach in a big game because so far we're yet to see that he can win one. Now you have arguably the biggest game in his tenure there, right? Like now you're playing to go try to win a national championship. Can he handle the moment? And because SMU's kind of playing with house money, right?
Yeah.
Like if they lose, they still are going to have things everywhere going like, made the playoff this year. Like they've had a if they lose, they still had a great year. If Penn State loses to them, people are going to call for Franklin's job.
He could lose his job.
This is a big game for him. Like,
yeah,
and SMU's just kind of showing up, going, if we win one, then look out.
yeah.
Here's the thing about what do y'all think his record is against in these big games?
It's got to be like 1-10, 1-12.
I think I've said it before. Like it's like he's like against the top 10. He's like 1-14 or something like that, and then
0-12. Every big time game he's lost.
Yeah.
0-12, and this is little SMU, but it's a big game. Does the bright light shine brighter than
It's
SMU?
just like the pressure, like the pressure of for sure. This is supposed to be easy. The whole country has said y'all got the easiest path in the playoffs. Like you can't go out there and lose when you lucked into this. Everybody already hates you. Everybody's looking to pounce on James Franklin. Like like you're waiting to pounce on this little weak link, right? So you got to take care of business and at least get to the semifinals against Penn State. I don't think he gets fired if he doesn't get to the semis, but if he loses to SMU, he could get fucking fired.
I mean, look here though. Like we saw SMU against Clemson. Like their offense
That's
can
what
put
I'm
up
saying.
hurry. They can score fast.
They can score.
How does Penn State handle it if all of a sudden in the second quarter SMU drops a 21 spot?
Yeah.
And it's like 21-10, and it's like you're in a buzzsaw game all of a sudden.
Yep.
Yeah.
They can score. And they've
Jennings can fucking play, first of all.
Scored on. Like, that's another Penn State can get scored on.
Yeah, like that's the thing, dude. Like, and I'm telling you, SMU's quarterback, Kevin Jennings, can play, dude. And he can get it going. And I don't know. I do think there's a role where Franklin puckers. And he goes, here's what streams Franklin in this game. He's not supposed to lose to SMU, so he's going to coach in that manner. They're going to play the game. They're going to run a lot of just outside zone. They're going to run counter. They're going to try to was it Singleton? They're going to be like, we're going to lean on little SMU, and SMU is going to hit them with a quick 1-2, and it's going to be 14-0 before you can blink. And they're going to be like, now we got to put the ball in Drew Aller's hands? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
I don't think they can deal with Genty if they get there. Like, I don't think they can really deal with him.
This brings James Franklin trying to coach this thing to be like 17-7 and go like, well, we survived against a really good football team. It just screams one of these games where he goes conservative as shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be like 3-3 at halftime, and then all of a sudden SMU's gonna be like, all right, it's time to pony up, and then you're just gonna see score, and Penn State's not gonna be able to answer. They're gonna be like, what are we doing? This wasn't the game plan, coach. All we had to do was lean on him and run. Like, what is going on?
Now, hey, more people light up. There is also the world where Penn State decides to lean on them, and they do, and the game is like 28-3 at halftime. Like, that also exists. They might lean on them and actually be like, okay, we are grown men and you are not grown men, and we can do whatever we want running the ball. And they might run for another 300, 350.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the pressure is on the Big Ten and SEC teams, though, because it's two conferences that have talked all the shit that it should just be us in the playoffs and nobody else is fucking deserving and all that stuff. You got Texas has an ACC matchup with a team that's heard all that bullshit. Penn State's got an ACC matchup with a team that's heard all that bullshit. It's Indiana gets Notre Dame. Like that's another element here where now all this stuff that the fans have talked of how strength of schedule and the stuff we're all tired of hearing, like pressure's on SEC Big Ten to handle business against the ACC.
I think it's a good. We need to segue into this. Like I've heard a lot of these takes too, but it should be the Big Ten and the SEC. Who can honestly listening to this right now say like they actually want that? Like who does like I want to like if I'm in the playoff, I want to play SMU. I want Boise State to be there. I want to play Clemson. Like I want to see these games. Like I want to see Arizona State. You telling me Cam Scatterbo doesn't deserve to be on primetime national television? Like I don't want to just here be like, okay, and look again, we have Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas and Penn State, and we have LSU playing Nebraska. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to like that. After 2 years, it'll be like, okay, the playoff looks identical every year outside
Yeah.
of the last two teams in. Every now and then, we're going to have Illinois versus South Carolina. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who
People are
I
gonna.
actually?
couldn't agree more. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more. Like you're telling me you don't want to see a home playoff game in Happy Valley with matchups out of conference, a home playoff game in South Bend against a Big Ten team in the same state. That's electric. Like that's what this is for. I'm so tired of that, and I'm also tired of like the guaranteed hypotheticals people throw out there. So and so with this schedule would have done this. Vanderbilt would have won 10 games in the ACC. Would they? I mean, I think Vanderbilt's a good team. I think the SEC is better than the ACC. I hear all of that, but that's bullshit. Like, they also lost to Georgia Southern, got blown out, or whoever it was at the beginning of the year. All of these teams that we like to do that with, or fans in the SEC, a Big Ten like to do that with, you can look at their resume and you can nitpick it and be like, well, what about that team? What about when Georgia went to the ACC against Georgia Tech and got everything they asked for? You didn't hear Kirby Smart after that talking
Well,
about the SEC is just different than everything else.
well, if you look at Arizona State's resume on paper, it's as good as anybody's almost. Like they kept doing all this nonsense with Alabama, and like look when you look at Arizona State's, like they had the same amount of top 25 wins. They, the only difference is they're conference champions and they only have 2 losses.
Yeah,
Like
the preseason
And
mag didn't have them here.
yeah.
That
yeah,
Um,
that's it. That's it. And look, now some of that does play, right? Like I do think like for instance, like we can take a team like Texas. They were preseason top 5. Like everybody all year has kind of been like, let's just hypothetically say going into the year, Texas would have been projected to finish 13th in the SEC. Texas would have been screaming at the end goal, and we deserve to be in, and people would have been like, well, I don't think so. Like
yeah.
your preseason does have a lot to do with it. Alabama's logo has a lot to do with it. But at the end of the day, Alabama got boat raced by a six loss Oklahoma team, a 500 team, and they lost to Vanderbilt in the worst home field advantage stadium in the SEC. I understand it was a road game, but it literally was more Alabama fans there, and they're doing construction. There was construction people and Alabama people there. Like this is the thing. Everybody looks at the logo and goes like, "Well, this team must be better than this team." We can go back and look on paper and go like, end of the day, you lost 3 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same goes for Ole Miss and South Carolina. And like
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina's bitches about like, well, we had a stupid penalty called against LSU. I don't know if it was a stupid penalty. You had a pick six and 40 yards from the interception. You decided to lay out the quarterback on a stupid like dick measuring contest. Like you also blew a 17-point lead. And then you look at Ole Miss and it's like you lost the game in overtime in Baton Rouge that you should have won. You gave up 2 fourth-down conversions on the
Yeah.
last drive. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you have highlights, but you also have lowlights.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Lost at home to Kentucky.
Yeah, like
No excuse for that. Exactly. I mean, absolutely. But like you were saying, yeah, I wouldn't want to see just a Big Ten and like
no.
because then you're gonna get what you're gonna get is you're gonna get common teams playing against each other. Because honestly, I'm excited. We'll touch on it next. I was trying to do them in order, but I'm excited to see the Tennessee and Ohio State game. But I honestly want Tennessee to win just because I don't want to see Oregon and Ohio State to play again. I don't want to see that game again. I've already saw it. Like
Exactly.
I know this. You know, it's the risk is higher. I don't want to see it again. I just don't. I don't care to see it.
Feel the same way in the 14 playoff when they used to try to squeeze Bama and Georgia in every year. And I could even say at times, like, I could understand those are probably the 2 best teams. I could get the SEC championship was probably the Natty. But I don't want to see that rematch again 2 weeks later, 2 games after that. Like, whoever won that deserves it. If they blow somebody out, they blow somebody out. But, like,
You
it's
do. I'm glad you said this because right now all you saw on Saturday night was here's the last team that deserved to be in, and it was the Georgia TCU score. And
yeah.
people just conveniently forgot that TCU beat Michigan to play in the national title.
Yeah.
1-1 in the playoff that year. They won a playoff game. Like they got in and then they won one and played the national championship. Like
Yeah.
also, I know Alabama fans and Georgia fans they just can't process this. Nobody wants to see you play in a national championship. Like against each other. I'm cool
Mm-hmm.
with like if you play somebody else, but like that game is boring. It's played out. The game feels like it's been played 15 times. I know that's an exaggeration, but it really does. Like every time
I mean,
Alabama
honestly,
It's like okay, another January game against these two fucking asshats. Like I'm
Yeah.
so like I've seen this game every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you saw it in the SEC championship, and then you would see it in the national championship, and you're like,
Yeah,
I don't want to see it.
oh, it's like cool. I get to watch this game twice in 1 month. Cool. This is
Yeah.
as a college football fan, this is boring as shit to me. I could care less.
Yeah, I'm good on like I've heard Roll Tide Willie say blitz Bama blitz. I've
I'm gonna go on record. I can't stand that guy. I can't stand. I think
100,000
saying that you would make the face of your fan base that just like that redneck idiot. Like I can't believe that's who you make the face of your franchise or program. I can't believe it. I've always thought this, but it's so fitting for Alabama that the guy who's the face of your fan base is some dude barefoot drinking 40, screaming in a gas station. Like
Yeah.
it's unbelievable to me
Yeah.
that like this guy's a celebrity.
Yeah.
I
And
love
the
I love
forcing it down our throat. Fucking this guy's
Dude,
fun. Look at this Bama fan. Whatever. Nobody likes any of them. That's the thing. That's the Bama trash that we've had to deal with for 15 years of saving and all of that shit. Like, get it out of our face. They lost 3 games. They didn't get in. They lost. Get them out of here. We're not begging to see Bama. Nobody's begging to see Bama.
I got guys on Twitter hitting me up being like, "Where's LSU at? Why are you talking?" Like, bro, this ain't got nothing to do with LSU. You've lost. You lost your God. You're no longer immortal. You're no longer immortal. Welcome back to Earth with everyone else. Welcome back.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to the next two playoff game. I love how we went off. It just went off for a good 10, 15 minutes about all these other teams. So the next game up at 3 o'clock, which is playing on a weird station, TNT and HBO Max, is Clemson, Texas. It'll be here in Austin. It'll be a fun one. Atmosphere will be electric. Dabo said it, and Kay Klubnik said it too. He's coming back home. Makuba's playing against his former team. He just left there last year. It's gonna be a fun one. Gonna be a fun one.
Well, Michael Tapp and Cade were teammates.
Yep. The last time Kate Klubnik and Quinn Ewers played against each other was high school state championship. We'll see how it plays out. Should be a fun one.
Yeah,
How y'all?
the storylines run deep in this one. Texas 11-point favorites. I'm not gonna dismiss Clemson. Wouldn't dismiss Arizona State. Wouldn't dismiss anybody. I'm very confident in Texas. Regardless, though, whether it's Clemson, whether it's somebody else, what we talked about earlier, got to score touchdowns in the red zone. You can't leave points on the board. You can't have insanely crucial and critical turnovers. And you can't be losing points because of stupid mistakes like you got backed up, made the field goal longer, got backed up out of field goal range, taking bad sacks, like whatever you're doing. That stuff, do I have the most confidence in the world it'll shut off? Absolutely not. I would be a fool to be confident in that. But my hope is that it shuts off to the extent to where Texas can handle business against a team they're better than. They're better than Clemson. Handle it, score, execute, unload the clip if you're Sark on everybody. There's no saving shit for anybody. Don't save it for Arizona State. Don't save it for Georgia. Save it for anybody. Every game show up like it's a national championship. Unload the clip with your playbook, with your packages, with other players, with anything. Do it all. Every game is your statement to make. Last thing I'll say, as far as a statement recruiting thing, we didn't really. Georgia was our only chance, a night game in DKR that was really that premier thing to use the new light show, to do all of that cool stuff, and we blew it. You're going to have what time's this game kick off? Oh, 3 p.m.
It'd be night at the second
You
half.
get by the end of the game. It'll be dark. You'll have your chance. That atmosphere in that home stadium against a big team in a playoff game. Take advantage. Don't blow it. Don't get in your way. Don't play to lose.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said everything I was going to say. Again, I still hold the same thought about Texas that if Texas plays a clean game, they beat Clemson by 3 touchdowns. Now, like, I think Sark needs to just sit down, have a drink, and simplify this thing and go like, the only thing that matters on offense.
He can't have a drink. He can't have a drink.
I think he just needs to and just do like this though. The only thing that matters is changing the scoreboard. It's the only thing that matters, right? Like I've watched the Saints be like this for years now, where they're really good from 20 to 20. Then you get to 20 and it's like mistake, penalty, pick, fumble, bad incompletion. Like, it's just got to be simplified to, like, the only thing that matters is that points go on the board when we have the football. Is whether it's 3 or 7 every time. And if we have a chance at 7, you got to go get 7. If it's 3rd and 7 and you're 5 yards away from field goal range, go get 5 yards and kick a field goal. Like, that, just simplify it. Like, don't overthink this. Just go get points. Like, don't get cute. Don't get conservative. Like, what do we have to do to change the scoreboard every time we touch the ball? And you'll win this game handily.
I'm clipping out. That's gonna be a Texas clip pump up right there from Buddha right there. Just telling him how to get it done.
Cut the drink part. We don't want to trigger Sark. Now's not the time to trigger any old habits.
I love that he said it. He goes, he needs to sit down and have a drink. I'm like, no, he can't have one of those. Oh man, that was
last time he had a fucking drink. He got on stage at USC. He goes, "Fucking fight on," and lost by like 42.
All right. While we make fun of his alcoholism, let's move on to the next one. Tennessee and Ohio State. I'm excited for this one. I don't know about y'all, but I'm really excited for this one. I want to see if the freshman phenom can live up to the hype. I mean, we've been saying it all year. He's been missing passes that they need that can pull them away from games. Let's see if he can complete them. Their defense has been playing good ball. Their running back's been running their ass off. And let's see what Will Howard can do. Let's see if Will Howard can get over the slump that me and Shoney have seen of him since he started college football, of just not being able to complete games. Let's see if it happens. I don't know if it does. How do y'all feel about it?
I'll say why I'm most excited about this game. 2 vitriol, toxic fan bases meeting up against each other. I like that. But I'll let Buddha say what he's gonna say. I don't believe in Will Howard. I have a hard time thinking this is a bad matchup for Ohio State to have right after like that gut wrenching. That is a defeating the video of Jack Sawyer after being like, we can't let them keep planting the flag on our field anymore. That I saw that and I said it's over. It's over. Send Ryan Day to the fucking XFL right now. Like that, you can't. I have a hard time. No X's and O's, no anything else. How do you move on past that with this team coming in fresh, big defensive line, attack your weaknesses, attack Will Howard. I like the balls.
I think if Tennessee wants to secure a win, you just roll out a special uniform that's navy and yellow. I think the best thing going for Ohio State is that they don't have an M on their helmets. They're playing a team with a T on the helmet. I still think that they're insanely talented. And I think they're one of the best teams in the country. They just can't play Michigan. So I think the best thing going for them is that they're playing an orange team. They're not playing an amazing blue team. The team's got a T, not an M. Like, I think that's what this thing boils down to. I think if Tennessee rolled out with orange wings on their helmet, I think Ohio State, I'm not joking about this, I think they would literally be like, oh my God, what are they doing? I think they would panic. Right now, they see Michigan in their nightmares. So I think this actually, I kind of like Ohio State here because it's not Michigan.
Yeah.
I kind of like Ohio State because I do think that Nico makes a lot of mistakes. He doesn't make the big time throw yet, which he will, but he doesn't yet, and he misses it. I kind of like Ohio State here. I'm not fully sold on it yet, but I kind of like him just because I'm trying not to view Ohio State through the lens of the Michigan game because I know they just literally can't beat them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's logical. And think back to what Georgia did to Tennessee through the air.
Yeah, dude.
Jeremiah Smith and
Emeka Egbuka
can really go off.
All right, guys. Before we cut it off and end it for the night, what are y'all's most intriguing or most outside of the playoffs? What's y'all's bowl game y'all got y'all's eye on more than anything else? Or for
me, it's easy. It's the LSU game. More so, I'm more intrigued to see what ends up happening with this Blake Baker situation. I know Summerall said he's not leaving, but he also said he's not. He took an extension with Tulane. non-binding yet. It's just an agreement in principle. There's no paperwork done on it yet. So if a P4 comes calling, he'll probably leave. I know that blew up during the weekend that Blake Baker was leaving LSU. From what I had gotten told was that there wasn't really any contact, and that the only thing that had happened was his agent said, we're interested to hear the offer, which can mean a lot. If you're a good agent, you listen to every offer just to develop leverage everywhere. I didn't really panic about it because I made a text to somebody I really trust, and he was like, look, it could happen, but it ain't happening right now. Like all this buzz, it's a lot of buzz about nothing. He's like, if it happens, it's going to be something that's not related to this, and today is not when it started.
Got you. Yeah, I'm interested to see what plays out as well. I don't know. I was told one thing, and then it changed. They were going after UNC was going after
Summerall,
and they made him an offer. It wasn't high enough, and this was even after the Belichick talk happened. And they said it wasn't high enough, and he said no, I'm good where I'm at. Now, whether they come back in with another offer or someone else goes after him, he's a good ball coach. So I think he'll probably get some offers from somewhere else, as well as Blake Baker. I think some other teams are probably going to try to get Blake Baker as well, but we'll see. Speaking of that, I think that's probably my most intriguing game that I got so far is Tulane, Florida.
I like that one.
A sneaky diamond in the rough for me, Georgia Tech, Vandy.
Ooh, yeah.
That would be a damn good
lunch pail, white cornerback type of game.
Yeah, Pavia versus they're running the same shit. They're doing it. It's like which quarterback's swinging the bigger cock in the fucking veer and shoot.
I mean, it's a fullback versus O line. Like that's the coaches. It's a fullback and an O lineman coach. I mean, this game's gonna be like football. Like this is what you're getting. You're just gonna get a good physical game.
Yeah. I think the biggest blip of bowl selection this year, outside of them placing Colorado and BYU playing each other, which I think is the dumbest thing ever. How are you going to have a bowl game with two conference foes playing each other? It's so stupid. But I think the biggest thing that they messed up on, what they should have done, they could have gave us SC versus OU.
Oh yeah.
They gave us SC versus A&M and OU versus Navy. I'm like you could have gave us two. It would have been two good things. It would have been two good things though. It would have been OU versus USC, so you get that rematch, and then you get a real military service school versus a fake one. What else can you ask for?
Speaking of service schools, Army got fucked. They're playing in the independent. Well, they got fucked. Also, Army's got a real chance to be 12-1, and they were not even a breath to make the playoff, which is crazy. They're going to be 12-1 with like a couple of okay wins, right? Like the Tulane wins an okay win, right? Like
their only loss is to Notre Dame.
Their only losses, they have a similar resume to Indiana.
Yeah.
And they just like weren't even mentioned as like, could they possibly be a playoff team? And then they go like, too bad. Hey, and by the way, we're going to shove you into the Independence Bowl against Marshall, who you're probably going to beat by 40 because Marshall, you're going to show up and just go like, this is how the service boys run an offense.
Exactly. We'll save our Army Navy game since it's this weekend for Friday. I'm not sure about y'all, but I love this game. It's one of my most favorite games ever. Just the prestige and everything about it. Should be a fun one. But I think that's all we got for y'all tonight. You got anything else for them, fellas?
That's it.
No. Gotta watch the Cowboys.
Absolutely. Well,
watch the Simpsons version.
Yeah.
If you're gonna watch a joke, you might as well at least make it a cartoon.
That was a good one. Now we got to take that one with the season we're having. We got to take it. Damn, Buddha, you an asshole. All right, guys. We'll see y'all on Friday. Y'all have a good one. Hook 'em.
See y'all.
That's fucked up.
First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors, let us give you the report. This is First 12 Ounces. First 12 Ounces, yeah. First 12 Ounces.